Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Priskilia and in this occasion I would like to present about my proposal under the title Using Tongue Twister and Google Translate to Improve Students' Pronunciation Ability. Now we are going to the background of the study. English is acknowledged passport to better education and employment opportunities. As we know that speaking is a skill that less practice in the classroom, and it is difficult to assign tests and activities to further practice beyond the classroom. When focusing in speaking, teachers should pay attention to one of micro skills in speaking, that is pronunciation. To improve pronunciation skill, learners should spend a lot of time on it. The development of times teaching and learning activities in the classroom also have a lot of use in creating sophisticated technology. Many schools also allow the students to use the technology. In this research, I will use tongue twister and Google Translate as a way to learn this time. Tongue twister is a technique that is aimed to translate an English some students have learned by creating game-like atmosphere for practice. Tongue twister also used in understanding how process to pronounce language. And with the growth of the technology in the world, particularly media, social networking, there are many applications or software such as Mozilla and others that we can be used for applying the learning activities. And in this research, I will use the Google Translate. But Google Translate is used not for translating a sentence or a word, but used for, there is the feature in the Google Translate that I will use for teaching the pronunciation. In the Google Translate, there is some feature, the name is Speak to Translate. If we click that feature, we can speak directly, and then our word or our sentence will directly translated. But I will not use it for translate. And for the next, I will explain in the literature of review. Research assumes that combination of tongue twister technique and Google Translate is a combination that can use to improve students' pronunciation skill correctly. Those are the reasons for the researchers choosing this topic. Next is research question. In relation to background of the study previously outlined above, the problem of the study can be formulated as this following question. Is the use of tongue twister and Google Translate effective in improving students' pronunciation ability? And the next is objective of study. The objective of study is to find out the use of tongue twister and Google Translate effective in improving students' pronunciation ability. And then is pedagogical significance. The result of this research gives some positive contribution to English learning context and may be beneficial for researchers, teachers, students, and school. Now we are going to the previous research. Considering the topic discussed in this research, there are some researchers which have conduct related to this topic. The first is from Fathul Mukmin and Roshi Amira and Rizky Amelia in 2017 under the title Tongue Twister, Students' Pronunciation Ability and Learning Styles, Arab World English Journal, Volume 8, Number 4. This research was conducted in 8 grades, previously at SMPN for Palu. This research has similarities with my research. We both use experimental research and also use the same data analysis method, but in this research only use tongue twister as the method, whereas I will combine tongue twister with one of the features in the Google Translate. And second is from Yolanda L. Turumuni and Jamaluddin Salahuddin in 2016 under the title Using Tongue Twister to Improve the Pronunciation of Grade 8 Students. There are some differences and similarities that found in this study with the research that I will do. Starting the equation, we use the same treatment to apply to the student's letter. Besides that, we also only use pre-test and post-test for data collection method. For the differences, this research also focused on the learning style that is applied to the students. Well, in my research, I will only focus on the application, tongue twister, and Google Translate to improve pronunciation skills in students. The next is literature review. There is the definition of pronunciation. And the next is definition. There is tongue twister. The first is definition of tongue twister. And then the example of tongue twister. There you can look. There are some examples of tongue twister that maybe you can practice also. And for the last is Google Translate. Here I will deeply more explain about the Google Translate because I think there are many people that still confused about what will I use in the Google Translate for my research. Usually people use Google Translate for translating, right? But you can look this part. Here is I capture the Google Translate view, and then you can see there are two objects that I give the blue circle and the red circle. If you find the symbol in the blue circle, you can say the word or the sentence, and if your pronunciation is correct, then the sentence that you say will out exactly according what you say in the box. But if your pronunciation is wrong, then the sentence will appear on the course will also not be in accordance with the purpose of pronunciation. So if you said some word that in English or in another language, but I just focused in English. For the example, if you said better, maybe your mean is better is lebih baik. You purpose that, but because your pronunciation is wrong, maybe the word that come out in the box of Google Translate maybe will another sentence or another word that is similar with your word that you say. And then in the red circle, if you find the symbol in the red circle, then you will able to hear how to pronounce word or sentence correctly. So if you type in that box, you can click the symbol in the red circle, and then you can hear how to pronounce it correctly. And the next is hypothesis. There is the two hypotheses. The first is the tongue twister and Google Translate are effective to improving the pronunciation and fluency of students in speaking English. And then is the tongue twister and Google Translate are not effective in improving students' pronunciation and fluency of students in speaking English. And then is for research design. In this study, researchers will use quantitative research method. This research is an experimental research with the design used is quasi-experimental research with non-equivalent control group design research. This research study involved two classes, namely experimental class and control class. The next is source of data or participant, setting, and sample. The population in the study were all students of class 8 in senior high school Wanjakenen. The sample in this study are used purposive sampling technique. Purposive sampling technique is non-random sampling technique where the researchers determine sampling by determine specific characteristic. And now is the variable. Here is the independent variable. Independent variable in this study is the use of tongue twister and Google Translate to improve students' pronunciation ability. And for dependent variable in this study is the students 11th grade at senior high school Wanjakenen SMAN 1 Jakenan Pati. And now is method of collecting data. Here the method of collecting data is used pretest and posttest. In this study, pretest will be given before the treatment to find out how the student's ability are before getting the treatment and to find out the extent of their ability in English pronunciation, while the posttest will be given after treatment. The posttest is given to find out how the development of students' abilities in English pronunciation after get treatment. And then instrument. Here I just use pretest and posttest. Pretest will be conducted to find out whether the student has ability to relatively similar in pronunciation of a word before treatment. Pretest that given is a test to read words and sentences that have been provided to find out how far the pronunciation ability process by students. And then posttest. Posttest will be conducted at the end of the study. The posttest that I will give is similar with the pretest because I just want to know is there the improvisation or the increasing ability from the students or not. Here, method of analyzing data. For analyzing the data, I will use the statistical formula. Here, the first is for determine the results of the students, and then here you can see some formula that I will use. I can take this formula because I see my previous research also use this formula, and I think this formula is suitable with my research also, so I will use this formula also. And the next is procedure. For first stage, the first is preparing a tools in the form of material to provide and also research instrument. Then give an introduction to the tongue twister and Google Translate to students and test their use in improving students' pronunciation ability in speaking English. And then give a pretest to students to measure the extent of students' pronunciation ability and to know how the ability of students before given treatment. And then course stage. Teach students how to apply tongue twister and Google Translate to students to improve their pronunciation skill in speaking English. And then asking students to practice using tongue twister and Google Translate. And then final stage. Give the posttest to the students to know the development of students' pronunciation ability after practicing the use of tongue twister and Google Translate. Okay, now I will show the pretest that maybe I will use for my research. For the word, there are some words, and then I will give the sentence, and the process also similar with the pretest. I think that's enough for my presentation. If I have a lot of mistake, I do apologize. The last I say, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.